MTG Scoundrels, it's in the cardboard. Ladies and gentlemen, scoundrels of all ages, welcome back to another episode of Modern Weekly. Today on the docket, we have Boros Energy with a little splash of blue against Eldrazi Agro. More people trying out some Eldrazi lists, minus the One Ring, being as the ban and restricted announcements coming up. Looks like going to 6, playing in Ugin's Labyrinth with Sire being imprinted. And passing the turn. There's a Sacred Foundry going to 18. Into an Ocelot Pride. And passing. Force for the Eldrazi player. Into a turn 2 Trinisphere. Not a bad start. Flooded Strand. Ocelot Pride getting in, bringing us to 19 all. Instep making a cat token. And of course passing the turn there. Untap and drawn. Oh, there's a Seagate Wreckage. Probably a tool more Eldrazi decks will use once the One Ring's banned. And passing. Flooded Strand being cracked on the end step. Finding a blue-white Surveil land. As we mentioned earlier, these Boros lists can splash blue. And then you may wonder, why not call it Jeskai? Well, there's already a Jeskai control energy list in the format. Oh, must have liked what was on top. Kept it there. Hollowed Fountain. Going to 16. There is a Static Prison. That is probably what was on top here. Taking the Trinisphere. That'll reshape the game a little bit. There's a K command, exiling the Ocelot Pride, making 2 dudes. Specifically 2 Eldrazi spawns. Untapping, drawing. We're at 16 to 18. There's a forest. Into a World Breaker. Exiling the Static Prison, bringing the Trinisphere back. Interesting choice. It may have been right to go after the red source instead. There's another Static Prison. So in the end, maybe still fine. He's still got a 5/7. Against a 1/1 cat. Things can turn quickly, though, for these Eldrazi lists. There's a white border snow-covered waste. Because why not? World Breaker getting in. That'll bring us to 11 to 18. There's an Arid Mesa. That'll get cracked. Bring us to 10 to 18. Finding a Plains. And there is the One Ring. Let's see how much the tide turns here. Activating the One Ring, drawing a card. The One Ring really does just make it very difficult to fully take over the game if undealt with. Here's 6, and passing the turn. Looks like this Eldrazi Agro list is more on the aspiring spike side of things. Drawing 2 cards off the One Ring. Which in Boros is a lot. There's an Ajani Nakatl Pariah. There is a Mockingbird copying the Ajani. Going to go ahead and sack 1 to the Legend rule. That'll be a cat dying. Ajani Nakatl Pariah will flip to Ajani Nakatl Avenger, which you don't love to see. They just have so many ways to attack you, and so many different big threats you just have to deal with. Which the same can be said about the Eldrazi list to a certain extent. But it's amazing how many cards in these Boros energy lists can just win the game on their own. Passing the turn here. This has definitely swung the other direction. Six coming in at a Johnny, I guess, with an attack trigger. Must be trying to get that 7th land. Hitting a Boseiju here. Yeah, attacking the Ajani. That's an interesting play. Playing the Boseiju as a land. Casting the Devourer of Destiny. Exiling the Ajani. There's a world where maybe you just go ahead and attack the life total there. Force a cat to die. The One Ring drawing 3 more cards. That's now 6 cards drawn off that thing. And we're at 7 to 18. Aether Hub here, gaining an energy. There's a Guide of Souls. There's an Ocelot Pride. That'll gain a life and an energy. There's a Galvanic Discharge to kill the 6. Using another energy for Aether Hub and a land. There's an Amped Raptor. Gaining more energy, gaining a life. Hitting a Goblin Bombardment. Alright, so that means, at minimum, there is 6 damage being presented if you sack the board. Obviously, you're not going to do that yet. However, you're going to get another cat at the end of turn. Actually, another 2. Because you have ascended at this point. And that'll be recognized here at the end of turn. Speaking of, there's 2 cats. Gain 2 life and 2 energy. The Eldrazi player untapping. Well, if you're sandbagging anything, this is where you would want to use it. There's a Sire of 7 Deaths going to hand. You played an Eldrazi Temple, so you can cast the Sire. That does, in fact, say 7 different abilities. And the problematic point of you target it has Ward Pay 7 life. Also has Lifelink as a 7/7 and a bunch of other stuff. Only thing it doesn't have is haste. Alright. Untapping, going to 8 here. Off the One Ring. There is a Plains. That Sire also has Reach, as does the Worldbreaker. Activating the One Ring. 10 cards been drawn off this One Ring now, which for the Boros deck is just massive. The energy deck might actually just be trying to find lethal here. When you have that many cards in hand, I think I see a Flage there. How much damage can you deal along with dealing with Sire of 7 Deaths and not dying? You do target the Sire, you have 8 life. That removes the lifelink. Energy player doing math. Eldrazi player probably frustrated at how many cards have been drawn. Alright, there's a Guide of Souls. That'll gain a life, go to 9. There's a Flage. Lightning Helix to the Dome. Also gaining 2 life. 2 mana left. Now you can jump 2 creatures with those guides. Both players counting here. Boros is definitely at 14 at the moment. Gain 2 life on the ETB of the Flage, and then 3 off the Lightning Helix of the Flage. Also, just for insult to injury here, the Flage was sacked to the Goblin Bombardment. Okay, still trying to figure out what to do next. So it's an end step, maybe? Might still be doing math here. Granted, for the protection of our players, we also don't include the players talking back and forth. There is a static prison targeting the World Breaker. Still have an Aether Hub up. End step, making 2 cats, gaining 4 life and 4 energy. There's only 11 creatures on the battlefield at the moment. But if there's a Lightning Bolt in hand, that'll do it. Yep, there it is. Lightning Bolt. Sack the board to the Goblin Bombardment to deal exactly 14. And that'll be game 1. What a finish. The One Ring ultimately drawing at least 10 extra cards there and turning the tides. Game 1 going to Boros Energy. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. If you are looking to play either of these decks, check the description below for Decklists. It'll be interesting to see what sideboarding decisions are done here. Considering the Boros Energy deck is splashing blue, I wouldn't be surprised if Consign to Memory comes in. And maybe some other Blood Moon type options. Obsidian Charmaw, also a favorite of these energy lists. In terms of Eldrazi Agro here, probably bringing in a little bit more removal. Wouldn't be surprised if they aren't playing main deck All Is Dust if they bring in the rest of their copies, or bring in all the copies that possibly they could have. Well, you're already playing 8 main deck removal spells in some ways. Devour of Destiny obviously being a little slow. Kozilek's Command being one of your favorites because ultimately doesn't feed Flage, and you don't need that much of a mana investment to deal with an early creature. Now, if you are looking for tokens, definitely check out our sponsors, Arcane Artistry, making wonderful food, clue, and treasure tokens in a stained glass style. And they are currently working on new tokens here in the future. So definitely go down into the description, check out their Etsy link. They're fantastic tokens. Also check out our sponsor and proud hosts of our matches, Warden Games. A wonderful place to storm out. You can find their website as well as their TCG player link in the description below. And if you were looking for some artist ideas or just art in general for the holidays, for friends or family, or if you're just looking for art for your business, definitely check out our friend Sean Gerard. Did art for the channel. Their email in the description. They are open to new projects. Here in the modern format, the banned and restricted announcement is coming up here on December 16th, 2024. And for the most part, we're definitely hoping for the One Ring to go. Of course, some people aren't because they've already invested in it. And for that, I understand. I've definitely invested in the card myself. It's kind of too hard not to. Really, I wouldn't expect the price to go down on it. Enough of us have thought that it probably wouldn't get banned until the Lord of the Rings set is officially out of print. But maybe they'll listen to the player base and care about Modern. Or maybe they'll just ban it before the RCQ season, which comes probably this next summer, as we are currently in the standard season. The format definitely needs a shakeup, though. Looks like both players looking at 7s. Both players going to 6. The One Ring just goes into every deck at this point, though, unless you're playing Belcher. Wild that Belcher is even one of the best decks in the format right now. But the One Ring just single-handedly lets decks such as Boros Energy just catch up in a way you really shouldn't necessarily be able to do in a deck like that. And the fact that it's colorless, every Eldrazi deck, unless you're specifically, which I believe the player here is, not running it to make a point and kind of build for future lists. Every colorless deck essentially running it. There's a reason it's 60% of decks right now in the format. Can you die to it? Absolutely. But will it draw you out of sticky situations? It absolutely will. Boros Energy staying on 6. As is the Eldrazi Agro list. Aggro on the play, Devour Destiny. Deciding what to exile and if to keep a card on top here. Looks like putting a Cavern of Souls on top, if I saw that correctly. And those are 3 hell of a cards to exile. Thought Utseer, Trinisphere, and Sowing Mycospawn all getting exiled here off the Devourer Destiny. Playing a Cavern of Souls, naming Eldrazi. Into a Talisman of Impulse. Arid Mesa getting cracked here for the Boros Energy list. Finding an elegant parlor. The Boros Surveil land. Keeping it on top, drawing it for turn. Ooh, there's a Flagian on one ring in that hand over there. Flooded Strand for turn. Drawing a card. There's another Cavern of Souls, name an Eldrazi. And passing. No 4-drop to play on turn 3 there. Flooded Strand being cracked. Probably to find the other Surveil land. Yep, there it is. All colors available for the Boros energy list. Drawn for turn. Tapped Hollowed Fountain. Into an Ocelot Pride. Into a Mockingbird, copying the Ocelot Pride. Not bad. The deck splashing blue have been really on these Mockingbird lists. Currently 5 mana available for the Eldrazi player. Alright, there's a Nugan's Labyrinth. That's 7 mana available. Okay, there's a Wastegate Battle Mage. Deciding to get rid of the Mockingbird because it has flying. It's being kicked to put the Mockingbird back in hand. There's a Plains. There's a Flage killing the Wastegate Battle Mage. That'll bring us to 21 to 20. And that'll bring us to 22 to 19. Passing the turn. There's a Flooded Strand. There's an Amped Raptor. Flipping into a Goblin Bombardment. There's a Mockingbird copying the Ocelot Pride. Or at least it is on the stack. Attacking him for 2. Exiling the Ocelot Pride. When to do that there is always a question. Taking 1. Going to 18. Making a bunch of Eldrazi spawns. In this case, 5. Untapping. No life gain this turn, which is important. There's a Gemstone Caverns. Putting the Devour Destiny into hand. Or at least trying to make that decision. A lot of math here. Tapping 3, 4, to bounce. Oh, excuse me. Nope. Just needs to 1. Exiling the Goblin Bombardment with the Wastecape Battle Mage. Sequencing mattering here. Going down to 1 spawn left, casting a Devour Destiny. Exiling the Mockingbird. And passing the turn. End step fetching, bring us to 21 to 18. Finding a tapped Sacred Foundry. Untapping. There's an Arena of Glory, which unfortunately could be a hasty problem here. Speaking of, there's, well, no, 4 mana for the One Ring. Alright. Activating the One Ring. Playing a land. Not that the Boros energy needs anymore at this point, but it is fodder for the Flage that's in the bin. There's a Sowing Mycospawn. Kicking it here. Exiling the Arena of Glory. What to find here? Maybe finding a Seagate Wreckage? The Blast Zone, not a bad option either. Well, finding a Seagate Wreckage. There's a world where finding Blast Zone may end up being better, considering how quickly they can rebuild with 1-drops. And you already have the mana to be able to put another counter on it, if need be, to kill a Johnny's. Things of that nature. Passing the turn. Well, let's see if the One Ring digs Boros energy back out of it again. Fetching. That'll bring us to 20 to 18. Taking one off the One Ring. That'll bring us to 19 to 18. Drawing 2 more cards. Six mana available currently. Real question being, how is the energy deck going to sequence this? Alright, looks like starting with Flage. That'll get escaped. Dealing 3, gaining 3, killing a Sowing Mycospawn. That'll bring us back up to 22 to 18. Passing the turn. There's an All Is Dust. That'll make him sacrifice 3 permanents, because those are the 3 colored permanents on the board. That deals with Flage, attacking him for 8. I'll bring us to 14 to 18. Passing the turn, losing 2. Was that All Is Dust too early? Drawing 3 cards. That is 6 extra cards off the One Ring. There's a Guide of Souls. There's an Ocelot Pride. Gaining 1 life. And an energy. There's a Johnny Nicodle Pariah. That'll gain 2 more energy. And 2 more life. Guide of Souls really just negates everything you lose from the One Ring. Greatest Soul Warden of all time. End step. Gonna make 3 more cats. Ascending here. That'll bring us to 18 to 18. And like that, Boros Energy has rebuilt their position. Another land for turn. After activating the Seagate wreckage earlier. Oh, there's a Path to Exile. Getting rid of a blocker. Finding a forest here. Unless the deck is colorless, most of the time the Eldrazi lists are running enough basics that this isn't that big of a deal. They've been hurt before by Boseiju, to say the least. Passing the turn. Taking 3 off the One Ring. Tapping it again. That is 10 cards drawn off the One Ring. The difference between having it and not having it, astounding in this matchup. There's a White Orchid Phantom. It's going to target the Eldrazi Temple. Looks like this Eldrazi Agro, as mentioned earlier, playing plenty of forest. There's another Guide of Souls. That'll bring us up to 17 and 18. Attacking in. Looks like jumping an Ocelot Pride and jumping one of the cat tokens. Looks like 11 coming in. That'll bring us to 20 to 7. That'll bring us to 24 to 7 after these cats come in. Untapping. Off the top. There's an All Is Dust. And there's a con sign. Wow. What a finish. Scooping it up from there. Found the answer off the top. Unfortunately, the Boros Energy list holding the con sign to memory. And that'll do it. Game, set, match going to Boros Energy. The One Ring being the best card in Modern. Thank you all so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. And we will see you all next week.